Kabayan, kamusta ang sahod mo? May natitira pa ba sa'yo o lahat napapadala sa Pilipinas o pinambabayad ng mga bayarin? Sa video na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang pinaka-epektibong pagbabudget ng ating mga kinikita sa abroad. Good morning mga tangay. Welcome back to our channel. But if you're new here, I'm Janice. I'm a retired OFW from Dubai and I'm now based in Palawan, Philippines. Sa video na ito, i-share namin yung aming mga natutunan throughout the almost a decade of our stay in Dubai, kung paano namin napagkasya ang aming mga kinita, kung paano kami nakapagtabi sa aming mga investments at kung paano namin nabayaran ang aming mga utang bago kami umuwi ng Pilipinas or nag-retire sa Philippines. Ngayon po, kung sakaling hindi nyo gusto ang video na ito, you may freely skip this video. I have been getting some comments, nasty comments, no? If you don't like to watch, please feel free to check out or not watch this video. Wag na lang mag-iwan ng mga nasty comments sa baba. Let's keep our comments section a safe and clean space for everyone, where my goal is lahat tayo encourage at i-share ang bawat isa. Kasi wala namang ibang magtutulungan kundi tayo-tayo lang. So, sa video po na ito, pag-uusapan natin yung 5 W's and 1 H ng budget. Diba? Lagi yan tinatanong what, where, when, how, and all those things. So, pag-uusapan natin kung ano nga ba yung budget. Sa ibang tahanan, nagiging curse word na yung budget, no? Parang galit na galit ang ibang tao sa pagbabudget. Pero sa totoo lang po, ang pagbabudget ang isa sa mga pinaka-epektibong pamamaraan para ma-handle natin ang ating pera. What is a budget? Someone said, a budget is basically telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Sinasabihan mo saan pupunta yung pera mo instead na mag-wonder ka, saan napunta yung sinahod ko? So, kapag tinanong nyo po yan sa sarili nyo at madalas nyo tanongin yan, nako, kailangan nyo pong mag-budget. Kung nagbabudget na kayo pero hindi nyo pa rin alam kung saan pupunta yung kinita nyo, mas maganda po na mapanood nyo ang video na ito kasi sasagutin natin yan. Okay, for me, budgeting is basically telling your money what to do so you can live the life that God designed for you. For me, budgeting has helped us through the years from 2013 to I don't know, kailan pa kami umuwi, bago kami umuwi. Sobrang natulungan niya kami at even ngayon, natulungan niya kami. And I'm sure marami rin sa inyo ang makaka-attest, makaka-testify na budgeting gives you actually so much more when it comes to your money. A budget is basically a game plan, no? Ano yung game plan mo kung anong gagawin mo sa pera? Dahil, if you don't make a plan for your money, someone else will. Sino yun? Sa business, no? Pinag-iisipan na namin, ano yung natin? Payday sale. Yan. Sa Dubai, no? Ang daming Dubai Summer Surprises, Dubai Shopping Festival, GITEX, sa US Black Friday sale, napakaraming sale. So, sa iba't ibang bansa, may kanya-kanyang sale at tinataon nila yan sa sahod. So, conditioning yan na, naku, pagkasahod mo, gusto namin kunin yung pera mo. So, yun yung mga bagay na iingatan natin. Who should budget? I'm very particular with this, especially for OFWs. Ibang-iba po dapat ang budget ng OFW kumpara sa regular employee na nasa Philippines na walang kahit sinong relative abroad. Ang magbabudget dapat ay yung couple. So, yung mag-asawa. That's the main component of the family unit. Who should you budget for? You should budget for yourselves, kung kayo ay couple lang. Kung may mga anak kayo, kasama yung mga anak nyo. Now, pag nagsusuporta kayo ng magulang, I strongly suggest, especially in this channel, na hanggang sa magulang lang po ang ating tulong. Hindi po natin responsibilidad ang anak ng mga kapatid natin o mga kapatid natin, lalo na kung adult na sila at able-bodied naman sila na pwede silang magtrabaho. Hindi na po yun kasama. And we will have a video on this later on, setting boundaries, especially for OFWs, because this is very, very important. But we'll get to that later. Sino pa po yung dapat yung budgetan? You should budget for your 60-year-old self. Hindi lang mo binabudgetan yung sarili mo for now, but binabudgetan mo rin yung future self mo. And if the Lord touches your heart, of course, you budget also for His work and also for the poor. Ngayon, nasa sa inyo na yan. When it comes to the poor, later on I will discuss that. Where should you budget? Budget ka based on the cost of living sa bansa kung nasaan ka nakabase, at nagbabudget din dapat kung may family ka sa Philippines, pati sila nagpa-budget. Hindi pwede na ang budget ng nasa Philippines ay hindi mo alam. Kailangan alam mo at alam rin ng spouse mo or ng partner mo yung budget mo sa kung nasaan ka. So, dalawa po yun. Very transparent, alam nyo kung saan napupunta ang bawat sentimong kinikita nyo. When should you budget? You should budget twice. So, before the year begins, so usually December yan, may magandang forecast ka na for the year, and then before the month begins. So basically, before mo tanggapin ang iyong sahod, kasi sa amin sa Dubai, once a month kami sumahod every end of the month. So bago namin matanggap ang sahod, yung the week before that, naka-forecast na yan, naka-budget na saan pupunta yung pera. And then, yung forecast mo na long term, yun naman ay kung saan mo pupunta yung pera mo throughout the year. Ito naman ang pinaka-importante, why should you budget? We should budget because it will help us maximize our time abroad so that we can retire on our own terms. Budgeting actually gives us options. It is basically giving yourself permission to choose. Pagka napag-budgetan mo ang isang bagay, nagkaroon ka ng pondo sa isang bagay, may chance ka na mamili. So, halimbawa, naghahanap ka ng marirentahang bahay, ito yung budget ko, pwede akong pumili sa ganitong range ng renta. So, you will always have a choice once you allot money for the things that you need, the things that you want, and the things that you're preparing for in the future. That is what I want for OFWs to have the choice. Yan, let us take back the power of choice. Kasi madalas nung pandemic, nung nagkatanggalan ng trabaho, nawala ng choice yung mga tao. Nung nagtanggalan ng trabaho, walang pera, walang naitabi, hindi nakapag-budget ng maayos, ano nangyari? Pinauwi na lang. Lahat po tayo na magkaroon na, let's take back our power. We will choose what we want for ourselves, what we want for our future. And that is why budgeting is key. And so, we go to the last H. How do we budget? I have 10 points to consider when we are budgeting, but it is always based on the principle of stewardship. I believe po, I don't know if you agree, but I believe that we are all stewards. Katiwala lang po tayo ng lahat ng ng bagay na meron tayo. Pagka meron kang ganong principle, mas pangangalagaan mo yung bawat sentimo pumapasok sa inyo. Now, if you don't believe that, I don't blame you. I don't force you to believe it. Believe whatever you want, but that's how I see it. Here are the 10 principles that we've used for the past 10 years. I've been following Dave Ramsey for a long time, and this is what he's been teaching, no? Sabi niya, zero-based budget. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng zero-based budget? Kailangan, pag ang budget mo, lahat ng pumapasok, lahat yan, naka-assign. So, walang matitira. Paano ba yun? Ibig sabihin, lahat may pupuntahan. Renta man yan, loan man yan, savings man yan, pagkain, utilities, and all that. And it will all add up. Ang result niyan ay zero. Pangalawa, combined income. So, for example, parehas kayong OFW ng asawa mo, ang kita nyo, magko-combine. Or if ever man na may trabaho rin yung asawa mo sa Philippines, ikaw nasa abroad, ang kita nyo, binabudget nyo together. So, hindi ko alam kung ano yung practice yung mag-asawa, kung pera mo, pera ko, pera mo, pera ko pa rin. Di ba, gano'n? Pero, basically, you're one unit, so it's always best to budget the household income. Our third principle is God first, savings next, or savings second. So, nasa sa inyo po yun. If you practice tithing, if you practice offering, or sharing, or giving to charities, it's up to you. We've been doing this for a long time. We don't touch our salaries unless we've set apart or set aside what is for the Lord. It's up to you po how you practice your faith, or how you practice yung kung ano man yung pinaniniwalaan ninyo. But this is how we do it, and God has never failed us in this regard. Di ba may nagsasabi, 50% for your needs, 20% for your savings, and then 30% for your wants. For me, there is no hard and fast rule kasi magkakaiba tayo ng sitwasyon. So, depende pa rin talaga sa pangangailangan. Doon tayo mag-a-allot ng mas malaki. The goal is for you to have all your money to yourself. But, if meron kang utang or pinagkakautangan, tatapusin natin lahat ng utang para pag natapos na yon, lahat na ng ating sahod sa atin na. Gaya nga ng turo ni Dave Ramsey, if you don't know him, he's a financial guru and he's really amazing with with budgeting and all that, especially in eliminating debt. So sabi niya, maging gazelle intense. So, sobrang intense na intense tayo sa pagbabayad ng ating utang. And this has really worked hard for us when we were still OFWs na talagang naging debt-free kami. Ang dami namin ginawa, talagang tinodo-todo namin yung budget namin para mabayaran namin lahat ng aming utang. At nakauwi kami ng matiwasay nung nag-retire kami from overseas work noong 2020. Next, follow the budget. Kung ano po yung sinet ninyo na target, you always need to have the actual. So when you're monitoring, follow the budget, pay your dues when it's due, before it's due, and always remember to set aside money now for the next week or next month's payments. For example, yung mga may loan for the 30th of the month, ang inaasahan nilang pambayad ng loan nila that month ay yung sahod din that day. So, nung na-delay yung sahod namin once sa company, wala silang pambayad. So, ang gagawin mo, yung due mo for now, isi-set aside muna the month or the week before that. Next is to have a system for your finances. Ako po, I prefer cash. I prefer to spend in cash. I prefer to set aside money in cash. Old school, medyo may edad na po ako. So, I use the cash envelope system wherein nakaset aside lahat, no? Pagdating sa, let's say, food, utilities, phone bills, and all that, lahat yan nakahiwa-hiwalay na po. So, I have a separate wallet for all the other things, and then yung pang daily at saka yung pang long-term goals. So, magkakahiwalay po yun. Mas epektibo yun para at least yung pang long-term goals mo, hindi siya nakahalo sa pang daily expenses mo. Also, track your digital payments and your cash payments. With the advancement in technology now, karamihan ay digital na lang. But even then, it's very hard to reconcile. So, always have a tracking system for your digital payments and cash payments. Meron po tayong reserved funds. That's what I call our savings. Nakareserba siya. Reserve funds. That's what you might call, or some people might call, emergency funds. But I don't call it emergency funds because I feel like talaga magkaka-emergency. I prefer to call it like sa ibang mga bangko na mayroon silang gold reserves. Yan. I prefer to call it reserve funds so that I feel more empowered na hindi naman talaga magkaka-emergency, but use it only in cases of unexpected expenses and then mga emergencies nga. You have your sinking fund. Dito papasok yung pinag-iipunan mo na yung mga big items and big purchases mo for the entire year. For example, kailan ba? Uuwi ka o magbabakasyon ka ng December. So, i-compute mo na magkano yung kakailanganin mo for your vacation. Let's say, dirhams tayo kasi hindi ko alam sa ibang bansa. Let's say, ang pinaproject mo na baon mo pauwi ay 10,000 dirhams, no? So, ang gagawin mo na, hahati-hatiin mo na yan. So, ngayon, let's say February or January na ngayon, gusto mong magbakasyon ng December na meron kang baon na 10,000 dirhams. Ang gagawin mo, January, magtatabi ka na agad ng sinking fund. 1,000 for vacation, January, February, March, April, May. Para pagdating ng December, may 10,000 dirhams ka na. Na-breakdown mo into smaller chunks so that it's easier for you to save. Next is a blue fund. Hindi ka naman nagtatrabaho sa abroad para lang pakapagod para sa ibang tao, no? Magpadala. Kami po mag-asawa, we still get to enjoy. Hindi kami yung typical na minimalist na frugal at matipid na hindi na nag-enjoy sa abroad. So, for example, sa budget namin, we always have a blow fund. Let's say, I would allot, back then, ang aming blow fund ay 500 dirhams na kung gusto namin kumain sa labas o kung gusto namin mag-splurge ng konti, gagamitin namin yung blow fund namin para mag-enjoy. Para hindi naman parang feel mo, kitis na kitis ka na. Kung maliit masyadong 500 dirhams at wala ka namang utang at wala ka namang ibang pinagkagastosan, natakasan mo yun ng konti para at least maramdaman mo pa rin na nai-enjoy mo yung kinikita mo. Help fund. Hindi naman lahat kailangan meron ito, no? Pero if ever man po na you feel it in your heart that you have an excess money, pwedeng, let's put it in dirhams also. Pwedeng 100 dirhams, that would be $36.70 or $40. If you have that much to set aside, pwede mo siyang iset aside. At anong gagawin mo doon? If ever merong nangangailangan at legit ang pangangailangan nila, this is the money that you are able to give to that person. Yan. Kung hindi siya nakuha ng January, naiipon at naiipon lang yan. So kung meron ka man pong, let's say, kamag-anak sa Philippines na nangailangan, January, meron ka natabi, February, March, walang nangailangan. Pagdating ng April, may nangailangan. So, magkano na yun? Diba? Times 4. That's the only maximum that you can lend to that or not lend, but you can give to that person, especially if you're paying debt and you don't have extra. For me, that's the most effective. If you are able to give more, why not? Pero kung hindi, at least meron kang naibigay. Again, budgeting is not a one-size-fits-all. There's no specific formula, no? But yun ay mga guiding principles lang that will help you in doing your budget. Now, this is our budget notebook. We've tried so many budget formats, and in another video, I'll be sharing with you the budget that worked for us. So, I started budgeting our income in March and April of 2013. So, lumang-luma na po yung notebook na to. March to April of 2013. At natapos po kami December to January 2020, just before we came home for good. Silipin lang natin yung isa sa mga budget natin noong nasa abroad pa kami. But take note po, kami po ay mag-asawa at wala po kaming anak na sinusuportahan sa Philippines. At by this time, sa budget na ito ay yung aming suporta na pinapadala sa aming magulang ay nanggagaling na sa aming apartment business. So, wala na kayong makikitang remittance dito sa aming budget. So, lahat ng needs ng nasa Philippines ay doon na kinukuha sa aming kita sa apartment. So, tinakpan ko lang po yung ibang portions kasi, di ba, sabi ni God, wag ipapakita. Actually, dapat hindi sinasabi, pero this is just for the sake of para makatulong tayo sa ating mga kabayan, no? This is not the perfect way to do it. Siyempre, medyo magulo, no? Pero, this is what worked for us. So, combined income po, ito si Jaja, ako po yun, ito naman yung sahod ni Abet. Kaya lang pinaghihiwalay ko ay dahil hindi kami sabay na nakakatanggap ng sahod. So, sometimes ako talagang end of the month, sina Abet minsan end of the month or 5th of the month, 10th, so hindi siya parang fixed date. Minsan, pumapasok on time, minsan hindi. So, hinihiwalay ko po yung budget ng kay Abet, pero magkasama talaga yan. So, tinakpan ko lang yung total para hindi naman magalit sa akin yung ibang mga tao. Sabihin kung ano naman, no? So, tinakpan ko lang yung para sa Panginoon and all that. Nakikita nyo, April to May. Ibig sabihin, May or April ko pinrepare ito, end of April, para yan sa May. April 26 ko na receive yung sahod, and then nakahiwalay na yung para sa, yan, nakahiwalay na. And then reserved, yan ay, ito yung actual na ito yung budget, and then ito yung actual, magkano yung napunta doon. Kasi hindi pwedeng, hindi mo itatrack, so nakatrack. So, uunahin natin yung para sa sarili natin, or in this case, we were paying debt. Meron na rin kaming emergency fund that time or reserve fund. So, itong reserve na ito, napunta kay Uncle Don. So, 3,000 na napunta. Meron kaming loan that time dahil kami ay nagpatayo ng apartment. So, nakaset aside na April, dun sa sinahod ko ng April para sa May na loan. Insurance, meron po kaming life insurance from Zurich. And ito ay family protection insurance. So, every month, nakaset aside yan. House, yung 2,000 dirhams po, andyan na yung bills and food. So, kung makikita nyo, yung phone bills namin and all, and then the rest goes to food. Kung may kukulangin man, meron kaming inaalat na contingency na 500 dirhams yan, napunta yan sa food. Sometimes may miscellaneous pa kami, but tinitingnan ko lang kasi minsan hindi naman kami magastos pagdating sa pagkain. And then, out of our salary, meron lang kaming napupunta na, meron lang kaming allowance. So, ito na yun, si Jabet, 2,000. So, si Janice, merong 1,000. Si Abet, merong 1,000 din. Pero minsan, nakukulangan yung husband ko, kaya sa sahod niya, humuhugot pa kami ng 800. So, yan. So, meron kaming basically 1,800 dirhams na baon. Dati, 500 dirhams lang each. And then, nag-adjust kami. And then, ito yung sinasabi kong help fund. Expansion fund, meron kasi kaming tinutulungan na isang work, isang ministry, so talaga nag-aalat kami. Maliit lang naman para dyan. And ito yung sinasabi kong blow fund na if ever gusto namin mag-date, if ever gusto namin mag-splurge, dyan kami kukuha. Pagdating naman dito, so basically yung sahod ko po ay napupunta sa reserved, napupunta sa mga payments. By God's grace, ito yung talagang alam namin darating at this time of the month. Yung kay Abet naman, dumarating din, minsan lang may delay. So ito, Udon, kasi we were trying to pay him off. Ito yung dinagdag namin sa aming apartment. Tinulungan kami ng aking mama at stepdad. So, we wanted to pay him off. So, yan, allowance namin miscellaneous. Kapag may, let's say, may mga additional expenses kami, for example, yung miscellaneous na yan, napunta siya sa Abet's basketball shoes, 500 dirhams, and then, imagine, May 2018 pa ito 500 dirhams, Abet's celebration of Second Life with Church Family, plus 200 from blow. So, nagkaroon kasi ng aksidente sa site at na-spare si Abet dun sa accident, no? It's really God's grace na buhay pa siya ngayon, kaya nag-celebrate kami at kumuha kami ng konti sa Blow Fund. At kung makikita nyo po, that time, meron din kaming na-receive na payment kasi meron kaming binili na item for church and then binayaran nila kami. So, yan, napunta siya sa visa ni Abet. And then, praise the Lord, we fully paid Uncle Don. Ito yung pinangdagdag namin sa apartment on May 27. We are officially moving to baby step 3. Ibig sabihin po niyan, wala na po kaming utang. We're by God's grace, free, at papunta kami na sa baby step 3 wherein we would save 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses by God's grace. Now, hindi po ito pagmamayabang or anything. I hope po lang ma-offend or anything, but this is just a sample. You can have your own system. Nasa sa inyo po yan. Whatever works for you, do it.
So, yan po yung sample budget namin nung April to May 2014. 3 years pa lang kami sa Dubai. Nagpabayad pa ako na kami ng kotse. So, may car loan kami si Charlie, 2,000 every month. Yung house expenses namin, mababa pa, 1,200. Dahil ang husband ko ay nakastay mostly sa Ruiz, malayo po. And then, ang remittances namin ay sa Malaysia, yung KK23 para sa aking kapatid. Hinuhulog ko yung kanyang college plan. Hinuhulugan ko before, and then yung husband ko naman nagpapadala ng remittance sa kanyang family sa Palawan. And then mababa lang din yung iba namin expenses. Makikita nyo, nagja-jump yan. Minsan mas malaki yung savings kasi wala kaming binabayarang rent, or minsan naman may babayaran kaming loan dahil bumili kami lupa, nagdagdag kami ng pera. So may mga nagfa-fluctuate yan, iba-iba rin.
If you will allow me, may short exercise lang po tayo before we end this video. Gaano katagal na po kayo sa abroad? At sa tagal niyo po sa abroad, pwede niyo pong i-compute magkano na po yung nasahod niyo total. Now, after niyo i-compute magkano na yung nasahod niyo in your 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, or 15 years abroad, multiply niyo lang. Isipin niyo rin po, saan kaya napunta itong mga sinahod natin? Kung nakapagpaaral ka na ng anak, nakasuporta ka ng magulang, nakabili ka ng negosyo, lupa, bahay, all the other things, na-improve mo yung sarili mo, nag-invest ka sa sarili mo, nakabili ka na ng life insurance for yourself, investment for yourself, and all those things you can account for, and you're happy. Good for you. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Pat yourself on the back. Talagang you deserve it. But, if hindi naman at tinatanong mo ang sarili mo, saan napunta lahat ng kinita ko? If that's the question you ask after analyzing all your income these past years, then I guess it's really important na talagang let's sit and let's say this time, ako na yung may control. This time, I'll maximize my time abroad so I can retire on my own terms. I'll maximize my time abroad by budgeting the money God gives me so I can be in control. I'll take the power back and I'll be in control. I happily cheer and support you for the changes that you will be doing. And I am so proud of you by making that choice. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I'll see you in our next video.